I am a big fan of Little Nightmares too, and the Hunter is my favorite antagonist in the series, so let me gush and ramble about him. I love that he has a subtle love/heart motif in his chapter. He's canonically lonely enough to put taxidermy people at his dining room table, and he kept 6 for 2 months judging by her tally marks on the basement wall. The Hunter really had no reason to keep 6 for that long, because it only takes a couple of days to die from thirst, and a week to die from hunger, so he had to have been feeding her. If he was waiting for her to get big enough so he could taxidermy her, he would have been waiting literal years since kids don't grow like most animals do. That would be too much time and investment and taking care of a kid for one small project. Plus, he gave her the music box to play with. Then there's how when he is chasing after Mono and 6, he's only aiming and shooting at Mono, and has never aimed at 6. He is also the only antagonist who has relentlessly pursued Mono and 6 instead of giving up and doing something else for a while. As for the heart motifs, we have the heart-shaped window on the outhouse, but more compellingly, that one tree Mono and 6 push over? It had a heart carved into it. Given it's the Hunter's property, that most certainly was something he carved. It's background storytelling that gives him a little more depth, that he had a life outside of being a big bad scary woodland murderer. Also, the woman in yellow is not 6, putting that out there before people get the wrong idea. She's an OC, Hobble. I've had her long before Little Nightmares. Yellow is her signature color. Hobble met the Hunter by getting caught in one of his traps. The bear trap broke her leg. I headcanon that he only kills the viewers, but anyone who looks unaffected by the signal tower gets to live. He takes her back to his cabin and fixes up her leg as best as he's able, and she spends the next several months with him as she heals. Another alternative storyline for them is that Hobble found him not long after Mono and 6 shot him, and she prevented him from dying. He obviously was in really bad shape for months afterwards. I'm excited for Little Nightmares 3 to come out because this also means I can add more lore to Hobble and the Hunter's story, which is why everything is loosey-goosey to make for easier rewrites. On the topic of Little Nightmares 3, I've been avoiding fanworks of it so I don't get too attached to any headcanons and theories since I learned my lesson last time with Little Nightmares 2. I have an entire backstory made for the Hunter and his family, as well as a whole theory on the Little Nightmares universe that, if proven to be wrong in the 3rd game, I will simply rebrand as an AU. The world of Little Nightmares was relatively normal, but throw in some Lovecraftian nightmares. I am torn between the catalyst for all the bad stuff happening being things that came from space, or something that crawled out of the sea, but regardless, this new thing started making everything change, and its primary way of doing so was using the signal tower. The signal tower's reach only goes as far as the TVs, which made the signal's influence in rural regions much less impactful. Judging from the lack of a face of the woman at the Hunter's dining room table, it's possible that she became a viewer, so the Hunter, or one of the family who was alive at the time, managed to destroy the TV before anyone else could be affected. Another headcanon, that static ghost of the child in the outhouse? That was another member of the Hunter's family who ran and hid in there before the Thin Man took them. That could be another reason why he keeps 6 locked in the basement. It's extra safe down there. Also, can we talk about how nice the Hunter's cabin is, as well as the land surrounding it? It's so peaceful and cozy, it doesn't really feel scary at all, especially his cabin. It just feels so homely and comforting. Maybe I'm biased because I grew up in places very similar to that, but I always enjoy the first chapter of the game and having Mono take his sweet time exploring the Hunter's house and making a bigger mess of it. I always have Mono steal the alcohol bottles and cups and chuck them out the kitchen window, and I go to that one room where you find the raccoon tail hat, take all his shoes and scatter them in the hallway. Canonically speaking, the Hunter did have to walk through that part of the house to open the door, and it tickles me pink imagining him noticing all his shoes on the floor and wondering how they got there. I also love snooping around in the attic because there's so many little things up there that can tell you what him and his family was like. Also, the backyard may be small, but it's really comfortable. Can you imagine what it would have looked like in the daytime? or in the early morning or late afternoon with that golden hazy glow. I also love examining the wash line and seeing what clothes are on there. Just a lot of really fun details that I can incorporate into headcanons and future fan art. The Hunter's level is pretty much the only boss-inhabited area where you can just do that. Take your sweet time and explore, since all the other areas with a boss have too much to look out for to actually safely explore. I know a lot of this is really discombobulated and difficult to follow along with, so I'm going to stop there and probably learn how to write a script for these rambles. Anyways, I hope you enjoy the drawing process of the Hunter and Hobble being cute.